Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I've had a nice day full of art. Did a lot of art, did a lot of music, playlist curating, and all that good stuff. And now it's time to talk a little basketball with you guys. So Ticket TV, I'm always snatching up content from him, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's not that I'm snatching content; it's just that he provides you with inside information. So that's a tea leaf for me. So basically, what he's saying is Ben Simmons could possibly be going to the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors, the thing about it is, they've wanted Ben Simmons for a long time. I remember hearing about them wanting Ben Simmons maybe about 2 years ago. There was one of the teams that was interested in getting him, so I could see him ending up there. I could totally see that. Now, I tried to do the trade tracker, and it told me that Ben Simmons is not eligible to be traded, which means I'm guessing it's an August 4th type of situation, just like LeBron. It's to where he'd be eligible for extension. Maybe it's the same type of deal where he'll be eligible to be traded at that day or something. I don't know. Maybe the trade tracker was tripping, but either way, I could still match up the numbers. Ben's at 35, and if the Toronto Raptors want to do that deal, they have a lot of options. But what I understand is going to be centered around Anunoby if they're doing such a deal. Anunoby's at 17, 2 years, I believe, something like that, 17.5, something like that. So what they could do is add Trent to that, and that'll leave him shy of $1 million. And Trent's on a 2-year deal as well, pretty much identical to Anunoby. So you slap those two together, maybe throw in Malachi Flynn, who just had that phenomenal 75-point game in Pro-Am or something like that. Maybe you slap him on there at 1.5 or something like that, and you can match Ben Simmons and get it done. There are other things you can do as well, but not if you're matching Anunoby. You'd have to be specific with that. Now I know Kim Birch is someone they could, I believe, add to it. I think he's at $6 million, and I think they just signed Thaddeus Young to something like $6 million or something like that, $9 million, something like that. So they could add one of those two guys or both of those guys if they want to leave Trent out of it. So it's a lot of different ways they could try to maneuver that if they want to center it around Anunoby. And look, that team looks pretty good, man. I don't really like too many fits for Ben Simmons, and I'm not so sure I love Toronto for him, but I do like the idea of pairing him up with Scotty Barnes, and it seems like the Brooklyn Nets and Toronto Raptors both like that idea because they're both trying to pull it off. So, yeah, it looks like that's where it's headed. And let me tell you, man, Scotty Barnes and Ben Simmons as a duo over the next 4 or 5 years or more is scary. Why? Because they're both phenomenal playmakers. They're both phenomenal defenders, and they're both huge and can play many positions. So when you talk about putting those two hybrids together, only thing Ben needs to work on, of course, is scoring the ball from behind the arc. Obviously, Scotty has that in his arsenal. You're going to be very difficult to beat if you're Toronto and you add Ben Simmons to the mix while still keeping Pascal Siakam, still keeping Fred VanVleet. You got to love that situation. Now, I would love if they could keep Gary Trent as well. Try to keep him out of the deal. But if I'm Brooklyn, I'm trying to get Trent and Anunoby back in this deal. I think Ben Simmons is a player I can demand that for. I can. Even though I really, really, really like both of those players, I think Ben Simmons is worth both of them if you're Brooklyn. So I'd imagine they'd demand them both. And that frees up things for Brooklyn to now trade KD to wherever, Now you can bring back, Bam Adebayo. You could definitely do that. Open up the trade talks with other teams that may have one of those rookie extended players on the team. So this is getting exciting, to say the least. I hear KD was in Portland as well. That was something that was interesting. I think he was out there just checking the place out. Hopefully he's entered that team onto his list. I think it's a realistic destination. I think it makes sense. It's always made sense. And it might be the best fit for him going forward. So hopefully that's in the works and he can be sent there, if not Miami. But, if they get Ben Simmons out of there, Miami's opens right back up. Miami immediately opens right back up for KD because now they can put Bam in there. But my thing is, if you're Miami, you probably don't want to get rid of Bam. You probably need Bam to compete for a championship, which is why in my mock draft I let Hero go and a bunch of other players go instead of trying to input Bam into the situation for my mock draft for KD, because you're not going to be good enough to win a championship if you don't have a defensive player in place. You're just not. from what I understand, Tyler Hero wants a max. So you definitely go ahead and trade him now. I don't see them giving him that. Now, that doesn't mean that he ain't going to garner that in this market because everything's inflated. So Tyler Hero is pretty much a max player right now. But if you're the Heat, you probably see it differently and want to move on. So I don't know if they're going to extend him or not, but I don't see Pat giving him a max. I don't see that. So it's going to be interesting to see if he ends up a Brooklyn net. I think that's likely. I think that's very likely. If not a net, wherever the third team would be, if there's a third team. But if I'm the Nets, I want Tyler Hero in that deal for sure. So we'll see. We'll see. You know, I heard Jakob Poeltl, another guy that was in my mock draft. He's someone that they're not going to be extending in San Antonio. So he's someone that you could see being moved in a trade. I'd love for my Lakers to land him since we're sending Westbrook to San Antonio, it looks like. If that comes to fruition, I would love for us to land Jakob Poeltl, especially if if we're going to be giving up both picks, which I think is probably on tab. And that's what I want Rob to be thinking about, Rob Pelinka. If we have to give up those 2 picks, make it sweet for us. Force someone to give us something we have no business taking back if we got to give up that pick. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Jakob Poeltl is a guy we would have to negotiate with. But we're a win-now team, so even if he were to walk, it would piss us off. A player that good would walk, but for this season, we would have him, and that would be phenomenal for our chances. So, all in all, I'm just brainstorming right now, but I think it's a good chance that if Ben Simmons is moved, that can make every single thing else fall into place. Everything. Kyrie to LA, all of it, can now fall into place. So, we'll see, man. I don't want Brooklyn to run it back. As you guys know, you follow me, you know I've talked ad nauseum about how I think that's not going to be a good enough nor a good environment. With Ben Simmons leaving Brooklyn, I kind of look at them and like, well, it's a fresh start now. I don't know what they want to do, but if you got Scotty Barnes, not Scotty Barnes, if you got Anunoby and Gary Trent in place, and then you go ahead and flip KD for the Miami package, maybe. Yeah. Does that make any sense? Yeah. I guess that makes sense. That does, yeah. Ben Simmons to Toronto. So, yeah, I mean, you could do that, and I think the team looks pretty good. You got Bam Adebayo, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, and whatever else you're retaining. It's a pretty solid team. Tyler Hero's likely on that squad. Yeah, it's pretty solid. It's a definitely new-look team. See what else they'll be able to get back. That's going to be key because I'm sure they're getting back a lot more than that. But those couple of pieces you can see coming together, they look pretty good. So, hey, man, see what Brooklyn's going to do for themselves. You know, hopefully this can come to an end. That's what I'm hopeful for. Just get us some news so we can start getting back to the drawing board with these respective teams and get ready for the season, man. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got, man. Hopefully this rumor comes to fruition. I think it's as good as any, to be honest with you. So, that's what I got. BDF44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.